Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com, at UCapper Sports on Twitter. I'll be joined by Moneyline Matt today to break down 3 of today's huge 11-game slate. Before we get into those games, though, I do want to talk about one of the big promos we got going on over at SportsMemo.com. It is the last weekend for it. It is the Super Bowl to Super Bowl All Access package. This means you get all sports, all plays, all 5% bets from your favorite Sports Memo capper until next Super Bowl 58 next year. That deal equates to about $3 to $4 a day, and the sooner you get it, the better the deal, because the access starts as soon as you purchase the package, not just at during the Super Bowl. It is $11.99, which is $800 less than the regular value of the package. Like I said earlier, it does equate to around $3 to $4 a day for all access. Compare that to around $39 or $40 a day for the normal all access package. You can kind of see how that is a great deal for you. So once again, sportsmemo.com for that deal. Also sportsmemo.com for the live odds page. I mean, you can see everything going on from a bunch of the books over at all over the place. You got all of the online books that you're looking at for where the moving going as well, and it's all sports as well. So check out sportsmemo.com after the show. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button on YouTube as well before you head out. It does help our show grow here tremendously. With that said, let's get Matt in the building. Matt, obviously yesterday, huge day in the NBA. A lot has changed in the last 24 or 48 hours with a lot of the top tier teams. Man, trades were going off. One of the games, a few of the games we're talking about were kind of are affected by the trades. But man, let's hear from you here. What are some of your favorite trades of the day or of the deadline, and some underrated moves too?
Yeah, honestly, I think the favorite trade of the deadline has to be Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns. And, you also got to love Kyrie Irving teaming up with Luka Doncic, the Batman and Robin duo over there. But with the Phoenix Suns, man, this futures market, the way that it changed so fast, the Suns were plus 1,900 to win the Western Conference, and then they add Kevin Durant and they go down to plus 200, in an hour. And it's just like that. And then, the Suns also made some very low-key moves on top of that. We were talking before the show about Darius Bazley, who was on the OKC Thunder and kind of somehow fell out of that rotation after a bit of a while. And, he is a nice guy coming off that bench. He has the ability to score, things of that nature. And, just me being a 2K player as well, I can't wait to get on the sticks and play with all the new teams and the players and stuff like that, So it's just exciting. That's why the NBA has become such a fun league to watch, such a fun league to pay attention to, because things are changing all over the place. And then even like a team like the Clippers, Bones Highland going to the Clippers, Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee making some big moves as well. And it's really cool because you get to see all these new names together. You see how the teams are going to develop. And I think now we're seeing more and more moves happening throughout the league because everyone is trying to make that push for that championship.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting moves was really that Bones Highland's away from Denver, because you saw that game yesterday. They were missing a lot of points off of that bench there. You sort of that key scorer. They did bring in Thomas Bryant to relieve Jokic for the times when he's not on the court. But man, you could definitely see the impact of not having that extra scorer off the bench. So we'll see how that goes. We were talking right before the show too. Bones Highland sort of that looking like he's going to be in that Lou Williams type role in that Clippers team. Suns obviously made a huge impact there. It just, to me, it's crazy to think that the Nets, right? They were on an 18-2 straight up streak from I think late November to early January, and all of a sudden they become sellers Like it's just crazy to me that they were up there and now they're. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things with the trades. A lot of teams that got impacted for better and for worse. Lakers obviously made huge moves there. Yeah, there's going to be this second half of the season is going to be wild. Did you have anything to
Yeah,
add?
yeah. You know what I found really interesting and kind of bizarre is the value of second round picks now. You know, like Bones Highland getting traded for 2 second round picks, or Gary Payton getting picked up for 5 second round picks. I don't know. I just don't really understand the value on second round picks. I mean, maybe with 5, you're hoping to make one splash and get that one key guy who can, maybe be a bench guy or somehow turn into a potential starter. But that's one thing I was kind of surprised with, because I've never seen a ton of value in those second round picks personally, just with how the NBA is. But yeah, that's one thing that I took away. There were a couple trades where I was like, really? A couple second round picks for that guy? Like we talked about Bones Highland, like he was traded for a bag of chips essentially. And maybe
Yeah.
he was having some beef with Jamal Murray. That's kind of what I heard. So maybe they were just trying to get him out of town. But I found that the trade value of some players very interesting.
I think the last few years we've seen that a lot of the top picks, like you're seeing first round picks getting traded for second rounders, dude. Like, so I think what it is that they're seeing that there is some quality in those second round picks, and especially in the last few years for teams who fit in to teams, right? Like when you look at first rounders, you're thinking about guys who are projects, guys who have high ceiling, and in the second round, you're picking guys who are already good. These guys are typically like seniors coming out of the college, right? And they're already your body ready. They're experienced and they fit into rosters pretty well. So that might be the case. I'm not 100% sure, but I agree with you on the value of the second round picks was very surprising yesterday. With that said, man, let's get into the slate here. We had the Suns and the Pacers, both teams who had impacts in the trade deadline. Suns coming off of that loss to the Hawks last night. They were shorthanded, last of a 5-game road trip for them, second leg of back-to-back games. Pacers on their side, 2-game losing streak coming off a road loss to the Heat on Wednesday. This is a one-off home game between road games, so that's a funky travel spot there. First leg of back-to-back home to road games. They do have the Wizards on deck, which is conference play. So it could be something they're looking ahead to with the Suns being non-conference. From an injury perspective, or who we think is going to be playing, KD is out. Obviously, Payne, Shamet continue to be out. Baisley, I see him listed as questionable, so we'll see if he debuts today in the Suns jersey. Booker did miss yesterday's game. I don't know if it was for rest or for injury, but he is listed as questionable, so it's possible that he plays today. On the other side, Duarte is out. George Hill is back in Indiana, but not sure if he's going to be available to play either after the trade. From a matchup perspective, Suns did win and cover that first matchup at home as 3-point favorites there. What are your thoughts on this game here? Obviously, Suns a little bit shorthanded. Not sure if Booker is going to play. What are your angles looking to this game here?
Yeah, a lot of what you said, the Phoenix Suns travel on the road to face off against the Indiana Pacers in a spot where they're on a back-to-back, and this is also a team that potentially did make the biggest splash in the entire trade deadline, So a lot of players in and out. There's going to be some lineup shuffling, some movement, and like we've discussed before, I think that does affect the consistency and synergy of the team. Last night, a guy like Josh Okogie went off for 25 points, and again, some of those guys are going to have to slide in and play those roles tonight. And for me, I'm not really sure that I can get behind it. It's guys like Josh Okogie, Damian Lee, Ish Wainwright is potentially going to start tonight on top of that. And, a big thing for me would be if Devin Booker does suit up in this game. But at this point in time, I really do like the look of the Pacers here. I think the Pacers plus 2.5 is definitely a good look. This is a team that has been skidding big time. And, when they play at home, they more so play their style of basketball with guys like Tyrese Halliburton getting out and running, getting his teammates involved. But for me in this spot, it's more about the Phoenix Suns and how shorthanded they are going to be, and on top of that, like there's going to be some distractions because you're very excited to get guys like Kevin Durant back in the lineup. They got guys like TJ Warren coming off the bench as well. I think that's going to be something that's low key as well. He's a guy who can come in, fill it up. As long as he's healthy, he's usually a 10-point per game guy coming off that bench. So again, I do think this Suns team is going to be maybe a little distracted in this spot, and this Pacers team is basically the same as is. They have essentially the same lineup. They're going to have the same consistency, synergy. They've been running together, and although it hasn't been that successful, they have been far better at home on the season. And I do think with time, Tyrese Halliburton is going to get back to his old self. And I think tonight against the Suns might be that spot. So for me, I'm actually going to be backing the Pacers here with the +2.5.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you said made sense to me, but also a lot of things are pointing towards me staying away from the side in general. Suns offensively, they've been struggling, but Pacers, since Hallie went out for that long period of the injury, he came back, and I was expecting their offense to really start clicking and going. But if you look at their last 5 games, they're still struggling on the offensive side of the ball. So to me, I think this is a game where the Suns obviously are going to be shorthanded. I think they're going to continue to focus on the defensive side of the ball. And if Indiana, the Pacers, they continue to struggle offensively, I can actually only look towards the under in this game here. And some of the trends actually point to it as well. If we look at the Suns, 4-1 to the under as favorites on the second leg of back-to-back games. They're also 3-0 to the under as road favorites following a road loss. Pacers on the other side, typically you would think that they have a fast-paced, high-efficiency offense. But like I said, ever since that first Hallie initially was injured and they missed time with him, their offense has not been the same. They're 8-3 to the under on the first leg of back-to-back games as well. If we look at the last 10 games, both teams bottom 10 in the league in offensive rating during that same time frame. Suns 20th in the league in pace, so they're not playing fast at all, and also 5th in the league in defensive rating. So a lot of things just combined, I feel like this is an under game, missing some of the key players. Obviously, I think they continue to just focus on the defensive side of the ball, even whether or not Booker plays tonight. That's the way that I would probably look towards. Probably stay away from the side. With the Suns being so short-handed, do we look at Ayton? I know he struggled on the boards here. A lot of people looked at him on rebounds the other day, and he didn't hit that for them. And a lot of people were like, he's on the hell no list. But sometimes when everyone's saying he's on the hell no list is the time you hop on. What are your thoughts on a prop here?
No, 100%. One thing I want to say first is I think that under is a great look. I don't know why I didn't really think about that, but it makes a ton of sense to me, especially with, we talked about the injury replacement theory. We've talked about that many times, but this would be the second game missing a lot of those guys. And someone like Josh Okogie, you just can't expect to go out and get 25 points, 20 points, even 15 points every night. So I really do like that look. But for DeAndre Ayton, he upset a lot of people last night. People were getting in my DMs about it. I didn't even have DeAndre Ayton. And people were just trying to tell me about their pain, I guess you could say. And, I felt bad. But, that's how I run things. And, if you guys have watched this show, a lot of the time when a lot of the people are fading someone because they're coming off a bad game, that's when they bounce back, and that's when they go out and have that game where, DeAndre Ayton has 22 points and 12 rebounds, 13 rebounds, something along those lines. And to your point, Ron, this is a Pacers team that has really been struggling on offense. It meshes with the under, but it also meshes with DeAndre Ayton rebounds, because when you look at player props, you have to understand that if it's going to be a slower game, you think it's going to be a defensive-minded game, rebounds will be the look. If it's going to be a fast-paced game where you think there's going to be a lot of points, that's when assists is the look. So kind of differentiating those two. I would personally be on DeAndre Ayton because at this point in time, they really don't have anyone else to try and go out and get buckets. Miles Turner has been solid, but again, he's definitely someone you can score on as well. They need Miles Turner, so he's not going to be too tough on defense. And so I think that would be a good look. But for me, I would be points plus rebounds if I was going to do anything.
Yeah, that's a good point there. All right, let's move on to this next one. Cavs and the Pelicans. Cavs 4-game winning streak, and they've covered all 4 games. They won each of those games by at least 15 points. So they're offensively and defensively, they're clicking right now. This is the first leg of back-to-back road to home games, though. So there's travel involved in the back-to-back. Bulls on deck tomorrow in Cleveland. Pelicans on the other side, they're also playing pretty well. 3 straight wins and covers. Coming off of that win over the Hawks on Tuesday, so they do have 2 days of rest. The rest advantage on their side here. Last of a 4-game homestand as well before heading out on the road. Maybe they want to get that W before they head to traveling. From an injury perspective, Rubio and Windler out. Zion and Josh Richardson, the newly acquired guy for them, are out. They don't. I mean, two teams that kind of stayed quiet during the trade deadline. As far as like the first matchup though, Cavs won and covered that first matchup of the season at home. Do we expect anything different since the rosters are pretty much the same here, or what are your thoughts on this game, Matt?
Yeah, for me, I actually really like the look of the Pelicans +3 here. And honestly, I'd be on the money line as well. And in this spot, the Cleveland Cavaliers travel on the road to face off against the Pelicans. And to your point, Ron, this is a spot where the Cavaliers have won 4 games in a row and are essentially full go other than Ricky Rubio. As for the Pelicans, we've talked about the Pelicans a lot and have discussed the Pelicans being a bet on team going forward because, again, Brandon Ingram slides back into that lineup. You got to get that chemistry going again, that synergy. And it's really starting to happen now because Brandon Ingram has had back-to-back 30-point games at home. This is their last game of a 4-game homestand, to your point again, Ron. And for me, these are spots where I like to bet on those home teams when it's their last game before heading back out on the road because I personally feel like you really want to get that home win before going out on the road. It's that much tougher going from stadium to stadium rather than just being at home. And again, this is going to be a spot where Zion is out, Josh Richardson, and Dyson Daniels. And, the against the spread numbers actually very much back the Pelicans here as well. They're 20-9 straight up at home on the season, 17-12 against the spread. While you take a look at the Cavs, and this is a Cavs team who is 12-16 straight up while on the road, and 11-16-1 against the spread. And I actually think this Pelicans team does match up well against the Cleveland Cavaliers because the Cleveland Cavaliers, like the biggest issue or what you see right from the get-go is Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, just because they're both enormous. They dominate the rebounds, the offensive rebounds, things of that nature. But the Pelicans are actually a very versatile team because they have Jonas Valanciunas, who runs that 5. They have Larry Nance, who can play the 4, or he can come in and play the 5. So, and then they also have Jackson Hayes. So if someone gets in foul trouble, Jackson Hayes is just a big body out there. He's willing to get up in your face, block some shots, get rebounds, give fouls on top of that. So I think this Pelicans team matches up very well against the Cleveland Cavaliers here. And someone I'm looking to once again is Brandon Ingram. I don't know if I'll be taking his point prop or anything like that, but he's starting to play his style of basketball. He is one of the best mid-range shooters throughout the entire NBA. And what do you need to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers? Is that mid-range shot because once again, you got Jarrett Allen down low, you got Evan Mobley down low, you run that high pick and roll, and you take that jump shot right around the free throw line, and that's where Brandon Ingram balls out. So for me, I really do like the look of this Pelicans team tonight. This is actually one of my favorite plays, and I do believe this is going to be an official one for me over at SportsMemo as well.
Yeah, I'm actually writing that down because that was a big lean for me last night. I was going through this game and I was actually leaning towards the Pelicans as well. So I like a lot of the angles that you brought up. One thing that you touched on is that both of these teams here in this spot specifically, they're on opposite sides. Pelicans night and day at home versus on the road. They're way better at home than on the road, and the Cavs is the opposite, right? They struggle so much on the road than they do at home. So like I said, one team better at home, one team worse on the road. And it backs the trends back it as well. If we look at the Cavs here, they're 1-5 straight up, 2-4 against the spread on the road versus teams with a winning record. Pelicans on their side, 6-1 straight up at home with at least 2 days of rest as well. So that rest advantage does come into play here. And I mentioned earlier, these two teams just played a couple weeks ago. The Cavs won that game. Pelicans, obviously the revenge game, the revenge angle is something that we look at. But some teams, like I said earlier, like I said a few games ago, some teams, they don't take that revenge angle seriously. I mean, or some teams are just not good enough to be able to take care of business. The Pelicans, they are one of those teams that can. They're 4-0 straight up and against the spread in revenge games when they're at home. So for me, I do agree with you that the Pelicans should be the side here. I wouldn't doubt that they win this game outright as well. And I like your angle on the Brandon Ingram look too, because you talked about the length on the Cleveland side with Mobley and Allen. And if you got JV, Nance, and those guys boxing out, same angle like you had the other day with your top play, the small forward here or some of these other guys who have length, they're going to be the guys who get the rebounds because they're so busy boxing out Mobley and Allen. So I like that look of Ingram on the rebounds and points. To be honest, I think he does a pretty good job here. His length is such a problem from his position. He's so versatile. he could play like the 3 and 4 position. I mean, they could do a lot with Brandon Ingram. It's going to be interesting to see with how the West has shaped up so far. When Zion comes back for the Pelicans, where they put themselves in the West, because the West has just blown up since the trade deadline. Let's go to this last game here: the Bucks and the Clippers. Bucks on a 9-game winning streak after last night's win over the Lakers. Second leg of back-to-back road games. They did not travel though; they stayed in LA. Obviously, last of a 3-game road trip. Celtics on deck, but they don't play until Tuesday. So there's a lot of rest involved there. The Clippers side coming off of the outright loss to the Mavs. No Luka, first game with Kyrie in that game. So they ended up losing that game, which was sort of weird. You would have expected that the Dallas Mavericks to probably take a loss there. Second of a 3-game homestand. Warriors on deck, but don't play until Tuesday either. So I'm looking at this from an injury perspective. The Clippers, they're going to be without some guys here. Haaland, Kawhi, Plumlee, and Gordon are all out. Some of the guys that they picked up. Portis questionable on the Bucks side. Ingles rested yesterday but should play today. Bucks did win the first matchup in Milwaukee but failed to cover the 4-point spread. They just won by 1 point in that game. Did you have what are your looks on this one, Matt? Did you see anything from a prop perspective too?
So from a prop perspective in this one, I'm actually staying off. There's just a lot of things that are kind of unknown here with like Bones Highland, Eric Gordon. And I'm not going to lie, Paul George is one of those guys where he's just I just can't really bet on him because it's so tough to find out or figure out when he's going to go off for points, when he's just going to take a back seat, because it seems like every single time I bet on Paul George this season, it's one of those games where he takes like 10 shots and you're just like, man, what the hell? So for me, I'm actually looking at the under here. I'm just following the trends. This is something that I've followed throughout essentially the entire season with the Clippers at home because, right now in this spot, this is a spot for the Bucks when they're on the road. They are 8-19 to the under, while the Clippers at home are 5-21 to the under. So again, this is a spot where it backs both teams in terms of trends. When you take a look at the Clippers, again, they made so many moves. So you're going to have Kawhi out. You're going to have Bones Highland, who would probably be the number one option coming off the bench. He's going to be out. Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee. So there's going to be a lot in which the Clippers need to slide in and try and generate points. And it's tough for me to see it when facing a Bucks team. This is also one of those games where I feel like there's going to be a late scratch for the Milwaukee Bucks, whether it be Chris Middleton, whether it be Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that's a lot of points that are going to be leaving these teams and this matchup. So again, this is over under is at 227. I think that's a solid number to get it at. I would be on the under here once again, because these are two teams where, again, when at home, this Clippers team plays far better defense. They play a far slower style of basketball on top of that. And it's the same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks when they're on the road. The game really slows down. They really focus on defense. Drew Holiday, a very defensive-minded guard. Giannis, one of the top defenders throughout the NBA. And like I said before, I really do expect a late scratch from this game because the Milwaukee Bucks are on a back-to-back here. So because of that, I'm actually siding with the under 227 in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I do agree with you on the under there. A lot of things point to that direction. Trends on both sides, like you said, especially with the Clippers at home. One thing that I did notice is the Clippers at home. Not only is their defense better, but their offense tends to struggle at home more too, which is weird, right? They average 7 points less at home than they do on the road. My best bet is on this game, so we could just actually get straight into that. I like the Bucks here. I know you mentioned that there might be some guys that might be missing. So if you want to wait, you could definitely wait. But at the current moment, with nobody, I don't see Middleton or Giannis on the injury report. There is a possibility of them sitting. I don't doubt that at all. But I still like the Bucks here in this spot. And for the main reason is because of a league-wide system that I've been following for a few years now. A lot of the trends, I'll tell you this, a lot of the trends would say take the Clippers here, but this is going to be a contrarian look. This league-wide trend that I'm looking at on the Bucks side, this says the Clippers basically in a terrible spot. 8 of their last 10 games were on the road, so they traveled a lot. This is their second home game in a row, and I looked at those specific situations. It has happened about over 30 times since 2019. And those teams are 6-26 against the spread. That's 18.8% cover rate. So that says to fade the Clippers tonight and take the Bucks. Like I said, I think this is a contrarian look because the Bucks are on the second leg of back-to-back games. But if you look at the Clippers side, they're going to be without Kawhi. Kawhi and the Clippers without Kawhi and PG in as home favorites this season, they've actually been struggling in that spot. Only 2-3 straight up, 1-4 against the spread, 5-0 to the under. They're averaging less than 100 points per game in those 5 games. So their offense really takes a big hit at home and with Kawhi out of the lineup. I think that's a spot here that we kind of take advantage of. Like I said, if it's something that you want to wait on and see if Middleton or Giannis sits, that's definitely something that you can do. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Clippers today, so I don't think it's going to hurt to wait. If you want to take it now, you can definitely do it. But I think the Bucks actually win this game outright, in my opinion. They don't have that game until Tuesday. They don't have another game until Tuesday. They have a lot of rest in between.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if they're 100% going to sit. The other thing, too, this is a playoff atmosphere type game. And those playoff atmosphere type games really tend to the under here. And I just don't think that, the competitor that Giannis is, he doesn't sit, in my opinion. Maybe Middleton does. But at this point, I mean, he hasn't been that guy for Giannis so far this season. So I don't think it really moves it'll move the line, but for me, it won't move where I look at this game. That's my take on it. The Bucks here, I think they win it outright, but definitely take the plus points. And if you want to wait, you can definitely do that too. From a premium side perspective, I do have one college basketball game. I've actually been pretty hot in college basketball, hitting over 63% since the start of the calendar year. I hit 6 of my last 7 games as well. So definitely check out the premium side here with all access packages. NBA, dude, I think I'm gonna get, if that Pelicans game is a premium play for you, I'm probably gonna ride with you on that because I liked that game last night too. And then obviously I'm typically my top plays of the day in triple double are premium plays. And we've been pretty hot the last couple of weeks here on the premium side. So hopefully we continue going here. Moneyline Matt, now it's your turn. Talk about your best bet on the show. Also, what you got going on the premium side. Talk about, dude, this weekend is going to be nuts. I'll tell you that. Yeah. We got UFC. Saturday's card for everyone that does all access packages. Saturday's card is the way to get the all access. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to have so much stuff going on. But your turn, Matt. Talk about your play.
Yeah, for sure. So right now on the premium side, my Super Bowl play is officially loaded. I'm definitely going to add a prop or two today, and I'll package that up. I have my UFC plays locked and loaded, and then as well, we're going to have some NBA plays tonight. Like I was telling you, I really love that Pelicans play. And to Ron's point, when we do this show or my best bets are always official plays. And I do know we're 0 for 2 this week on best bets, unfortunately. It's just one of those weeks where the first one, Giannis got in trouble. Second one, Jaylen Brown started a little slow, and then he broke his face. So sometimes you get it, sometimes you're unlucky with it. And tonight we're looking to bounce back, and we're going to be looking at Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trailblazers, and we're going to be taking his over 20 and a half points here. And Jeremy Grant and the Portland Trailblazers face off against the OKC Thunder at home. And as you guys know, the Thunder are a team that I really like to target because they run a pace-up style of basketball. They give up a ton of points, and that's generally the recipe for success with player props. With Jeremy Grant as well, he's hit this number in 1 of his last 5 matchups, and you guys know how I am. I like to hit you when you're down because then you're going to bounce back in that spot, and that's where I want to back you, and that's what I think is going to happen with Jeremy Grant tonight against the Portland Trailblazers because I do think this is a natural progression spot. For some reason, in the month of February, Jeremy Grant is averaging 11.6 shots per game, and he typically averages around 15 shots per game. And now he's going over to face the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are one of the worst teams throughout the entire NBA against the power forward position. This is a game that has a total of 240 points. And once again, this is a Thunder team who runs the second highest pace in all of basketball. This is also a Thunder team that does not have a true center at this point in time. They're running Jalen Williams at the 5 position for the majority of the game in most matchups. And this is a 6'9" center, and Jeremy Grant is a 6'8" power forward, and he has a lot of length to go with that. So I do think Jeremy Grant not only can get some points tonight, he's not the best rebounder in the world, but I do think he'll be able to attack the boards here. And if you want to go points plus rebounds as well, I can definitely understand that. But for me personally, I'm just sticking with the points. I do think this is going to be a natural uptick spot for Jeremy Grant, like I said before. And the numbers actually back it, because the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 6th worst team throughout the NBA when facing the power forward position, giving up 23.15 points per game and actually giving up 11.38 rebounds to the power forward position on top of that, which is actually the worst throughout all of the NBA. So again, I think this is a great matchup for Jeremy Grant. He hit this number in his last matchup, so maybe he's getting that consistency going again, getting back on the right track. And again, I think naturally he is going to get more shots. You know, this team just traded Josh Hart. Not like Josh Hart was like filling it up, taking all these shots or anything like that, but Jeremy Grant could get more involved because of it. And again, I think it's a very good matchup against an Oklahoma City Thunder team who doesn't play a ton of defense. They run a high pace, and this is a game with a 240 total. So Jeremy Grant should have an opportunity to get more shots, more volume, and get more buckets in all honesty. So for me, it's Jeremy Grant over 20.5 points tonight.
Yeah, I like that look a lot because they're going to be shorthanded with a lot of, they were really involved in the trade deadline. Also, Nurkic is going to be out, so he's going to be sort of that they're big there. Obviously, they have some backup centers to take Nurkic's spots, but for the most part, if you saw the last game, he was there in the post for the most part. He played 40 plus minutes because they don't have any bigs to help them. So he's definitely going to have the usage, in my opinion, especially with the guard depth that Oklahoma City has, who can defend. They might just lean towards Grant, in my opinion. That's a really solid look there. All right, with that said, man, that's the slate today. We talked about 3 games. We broke down our best bets. We also, like I said earlier, man, like I know Matt said he missed the last 2 best bets. I believe I hit my last 4 out of 5 best bets here on the show. So hopefully, and even before Matt missed the last 2, dude was on like a 6-1 run as well. So
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, we're seeing the board really well with the best bets here. Whether or not the last 2 games hit for Matt or not, I trust everything that he says and does. I do want to make sure obviously today is Friday. We got a big weekend here. We want to make sure you guys head over to sportsmemo.com because a lot of picks and packages will be up this weekend. Super Bowl. We got a lot of stuff going on Saturday as well. NBA, college basketball. We got soccer. We got hockey. Everything's really popping right now during this time of the year. So make sure you check out the site and see what we got going on for picks and packages and promos as well. And also that live odds page. I tell you guys, it's really helpful to see where lines are going. Sometimes you see a line shift really badly and you think that you missed something. So it helps you identify opportunities to see what's going on with what you might be missing in your capping. Yeah, man, with that said, our next show, Monday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard on the same channel here. Good luck with all your action. Till next time, peace.
Peace.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.